Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. I'm always impressed with buff ideas, and today we're going to be talking about Ant-Man, somebody that, in fairness, has gotten better, mainly with synergies. Here's looking at you, Quantum Realm. I call it the Quantum Realm quad between Ghost, Wasp, Ant-Man, and Hood. But this rework, Champion Spotlight, by YT MCOC Buffs and Additions, I think it might stand for YouTube, I don't know, is really just hoping to overhaul him to the point that he is even better. And I always appreciate the work that you all put into these when we discuss them. I mean, it just shows the passion you have for this game. It shows the passion you have for these champions, especially an OG champion. Though now, we're discussing this in the framework of Kabam Mike saying 2015 champions shouldn't be these great buffs. They should be simple for newer players. Even though, hello Venom, hello Storm, those are some OG champions that got amazing buffs. So his argument is really senseless, and yet it's his argument. Okay, so Scott Lang, Master Thief, we know his background. We're not going to spend time reading it, but I appreciate that you typed it up there. Basic abilities: Fatigue, Fury, Unblockable, Glancing, and Poison. Ant-Man's mechanics. Ant-Man has a ton of utility, which is displayed through his fatigues, a boatload of physical resistance, glancing attacks, and evade/miss countering. He hits like a truck when he's ramped up. He also has a passive unblockable mechanic that can be used when charging heavies, but with a small expense of potential damage. The number of fatigues on his opponent and his furies grant him attack rating, with the former providing the most damage potential. Strengths: Fatigue. Ant-Man's damage can rapidly increase with the fatigues he places on his opponent. When awakened, these become passive, which makes opponents unable to shrug them off. Pretty cool. Fury. Ant-Man increases his damage even further with his furies, which can be gained by glancing incoming attacks and through the special attacks 1 and 3. These furies provide a more potent boost in attack rating than the fatigues. However, they are less accessible. Passively unblockable. Ant-Man's passive unblockability, passive unblockable ability, that's a fun phrase, allows him to be temporarily unblockable when siphoning fatigue. However, you will sacrifice some damage for this use. These unblockable buffs fall off one at a time and are passive, which means they cannot be nullified. If Ant-Man uses a special attack when he's passively unblockable, the timer pauses for the duration of the special attack, and all aspects of the special are unblockable. Miss, evade, counter. Ant-Man sees all the opponent's incoming attacks, therefore he cannot miss, and he will not be evaded when using special attacks. When charging a heavy, Ant-Man has the ability to make the opponents miss because of his agility and size manipulation for a couple of seconds, and then this ability goes on cooldown. Glancing incoming attacks can be glanced, which have a chance of providing furies. Slight power control. When using the special 3, the stun provides Ant-Man with the ability to drain a small amount of the opponent's power with his second medium attack. Quantum Field. Ant-Man grows tired of the villains in the contest, becoming more adaptive and enhancing his tech to finish off any injustice he sees. Therefore, against villains or mercenaries that have those hashtags that are not also heroes, he gains special Quantum Field bonuses. It's pretty cool. Weaknesses: Nullify. When unawakened, this can be a big problem. Nullifying Ant-Man's many furies provides the opponent with easy damage and gets rid of some of his potential. This also, of course, inspires you to have an awakened Ant-Man, though a lot of people at this point in 2022 certainly do. Debuff, Shrug/immunity. Similar to Nullification, when unawakened, the fatigues can be shrugged, providing for an annoying fight. Debuff immunity, however, is very rare and is not a fight you will want to bring even an awakened Ant-Man to. Abilities. Shrinking problems. Ant-Man's ability to shrink at will makes him immune to exhaustion, and when awakened, most nullify effects. Ant-Man is not immune to fatigue, but they have no effect on him, failing to decrease his critical rating. Ant-Man's shrinking bypasses miss and evade because he can't always see the enemy, even when they can't see him, and he can predict their coming movements, so all special attacks can't be missed or evaded. That's just a fascinating sentence. Really enjoyed that paragraph. Ant-Man's physical resistance builds throughout the fight, becoming tougher and harder to beat as he exchanges blows with the opponent. Developer note: Ant-Man is a tank that can take more and more hits as the fight rages on, making his glancing mechanic that much more fun to use. Tired yet? The opponent's attacks have a 70% chance to glance. Glancing hits cannot be critical. Deal 60% reduced damage and suffer minus 125% offensive ability accuracy. Each glanced hit by Ant-Man has a 40% chance to grant him a Fury, increasing his attack rating by 20% per 5 seconds. Ant-Man's basic attacks have a 40% chance to fatigue the opponent, decreasing their critical rating by 70, and giving Ant-Man an attack boost of 150 for 6 seconds. Ant-Man passively increases his physical resistance throughout the fight. Developer note, each Fury grants more attack rating than the fatigues, but the fatigues can stack more, and on offense, that's where most of the damage will come from. On defense, his main damage will come from glanced hits that will have a chance to provide Furies, making him a tough defender on top of the increasing physical resistance. Imagine Ant-Man being a tough defender. That's kind of the catch-22 of all this, right? Because if somebody is buffed pretty well, then suddenly in that early content, like Kabam Mike referred to this week, well, they appear more. Unblockable mechanic. Ant-Man's passive unblockable ability allows him to be temporarily unblockable when siphoning fatigue debuffs passives off of the opponent. These unblockable buffs fall off one at a time and are passive, which means they cannot be nullified. If Ant-Man uses a special attack when he's passively unblockable, the timer pauses during the duration of the special attack, and all aspects of the special are unblockable. Whew. Ant-Man's unblockable mechanics will come in handy against stun immune nodes, however you may sacrifice some potential damage for these. Heavy artillery. Landing a heavy attack gives 80% to refresh the duration of fatigue debuffs on the opponent, and a 50% chance to refresh the duration of Ant-Man's Furies. Also applies 2 additional fatigue debuffs, quantum field bonus, chance to refresh fatigue debuffs increased by 20% chance, charging a heavy attack. While charging a heavy attack, all incoming hits have a 110% chance to miss for 2 seconds. Developer notes, since Ant-Man's passive unblockable buffs will only fall off one at a time, it makes them last longer and more worth the effort. This is so much incredible information. I know I'm skipping some stuff, but I don't want this to be a 20-minute long video, but I also don't want to disrespect the person for taking the time to write all this. This might be one of those videos you watch at like half speed. All special attacks. Quantum field bonus. If Ant-Man is not unblockable and he misses a special attack, or if hits in the opponent's block right after their attack, the opponent has a 110% chance for their attacks to glance. When fighting villains and certain mercenaries, Ant-Man will have a small safety net for those occasional times when you may miss your special attacks. Special 1 tactical counter. Reduce Steven's ability accuracy by 75% for 15 seconds. Special 1 would be a great start to build up fatigues onto the opponent. Special 2 Ant Frenzy. Sounds like my house in the summer when I don't put out traps. Doubles the amount of fatigues on the opponent. These doubled fatigues last an additional 4 seconds on top of the normal 6 seconds. Developer note, this will be a great way to temporarily double your fatigue debuffs on the opponent. Special 3, a giant solution. Grants Ant-Man 4 Furies, each lasting 10 seconds. Stuns the opponent for 0.2 seconds for each fatigue debuff that was on the opponent when the special was triggered. If Ant-Man was unblockable at the time of launching the special attack, the stun becomes passive instead. Allows Ant-Man's second medium attacks to drain 33% of a bar of power. And the quantum field bonus grants Ant-Man 2 additional Furies. Is that 6 total? This special attack will provide a way to easily build up more fatigue via heavy attacks when the opponent is stunned, and perhaps siphon some back to become passively unblockable for when the stun wears off. Power drain is useful, and the stun lasts a while and your opponent is nearing their special 3. Since your ability PIM enhancement and Ant-Man Furies and fatigues become passive, which makes them immune to nullify and unable to be shrugged off. This does not affect the ability for fatigues to be siphoned by man in any way. All Ant-Man's Furies gain plus 3 seconds increased duration, and fatigues gain plus 2 seconds to theirs. It has synergy with the Avengers, unblockable buffs, instincts, Spider-Verse heroes, Do You Miss Me, Invisible Woman, aka my prom date, permanent plus 2% Fury buff every time it gains vulnerability debuff. Parry, Enhanced Fury, Extended Fury are the masteries. That was a crazy amount of information. I tried to keep this under 10 minutes, and we almost failed at that goal because we were at 9 minutes. Thank you again. YTMC buffs and additions. This was incredible. Again, I didn't want this to be a 15-20 minute video, and so I'm sorry if you were offended that I skipped some of what you wrote, but I wanted to get the overall message in time on the channel. Have a great rest of y'all's day, night, morning, whatever time you chose to click on this video. I appreciate that you did, and again, I appreciate the buff submission to the channel.